You're listening to the Trading Bear Podcast. This is episode 8, The Daily Show.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
£6.58.
Current price.
£13.46.
PB.
30p.
MB.
£1.24.
Dividend yield.
11.4%.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining again. In the news today, Liverpool's title surge hits a divot with their third 0-0 match in recent weeks. Leicester lose their first match under Brendan Rodgers, despite having the league's highest amount of crosses, 623. More on that in a minute. And Serie A's current joint highest goal scorers have a combined age of 70 years old, as Fabio Quagliarella hits 2 more for Sampdoria. On to today's risers and fallers then. And in the risers section today, we have a 17-year-old from Merseyside. And is he the next Robbie Fowler? Is he the next Wayne Rooney? Is he the next Steven Gerrard? He is at least Steven Gerrard's cousin. Of course, we're looking at Bobby, who's gone up 48p today and now sits at £2.58. Now, earlier on in the day, in the morning, he actually rose to £2.87 before falling back a little bit. So why has he gone up today? Well, it's due to a hat-trick he scored yesterday in an under-18s win that Liverpool had over Blackburn in a huge 7-2 victory. Now, in the current market, if you're under the age of 15, still at school, that's enough to generate a 50p rise at the bare minimum. It really is just too early for Bobby Duncan. His tally for the under-18s now sits at 24 goals for the season, which is a great record, but there's numerous examples of players scoring hatfuls of goals in the under-18s, then failing to make it in the under-23s, let alone the first team. So this is yet another example of just overinflation in the current youth bubble that I would personally stay away from. If you got an early on Saturday night, yeah, great, you've made a quick buck, and there's nothing wrong with that strategy at all. But if you're getting on Sunday morning or even Sunday midday, you're going to get a little bit burnt in the short term. Just avoid this trade. The second riser is more logical, and it's Ben Chilwell at Leicester. Now, during the daily news section a minute ago, I mentioned that Leicester were the team in the Premier League that produced the most amount of crosses, 623 in all, and that is great news if you're playing as a wing-back in an attacking system, which Ben Chilwell now is, or seemingly is, under Brendan Rodgers. He's part of the England core there. There's a lot of young England players, including Maddison, Gray, Maguire, and of course the older veteran in Vardy. And it looks like there could be promising times ahead again for Leicester. So a 15p for rise for Ben Chilwell. Chilwell's Leicester City England teammate Jamie Vardy provides us with today's first faller. And Vardy's gone down 12p, despite scoring, to £1.08. Now, why is this the case? Well, he came off a little bit early, complaining of dizziness, and the manager said afterwards it was just a knock. It's a complete overreaction to a player coming off and traders basically panicking and thinking, I must sell, I must IS now, I must instant sell now. Vardy is a well-known, great short-term trade. If you have a look at his graph on a periodic of about a week, or even less, 4 or 5 days periodically, you'll see his graph goes up and down, almost on a consistent weekly basis. Leicester have got some great fixtures coming up. In the next 3, they have Fulham, Burnley and Bournemouth, and I fully expect Vardy to be in amongst the goals. Tonight on Sunday, the usual Sunday sell-off will happen. His price is currently £1.08, as I mentioned before. I think if you buy him tonight, come Friday night, come Saturday morning, I think he's going to be around £1.16, £1.17, without a doubt, and I think you can make a quick trade on him even before the games start. If you decide to keep him, then with Fulham, Burnley and Bournemouth, he's going to be amongst the goals, and you can sell him when he scores. This looks like a good opportunity to me. For the second faller today, I've actually combined 2 players, and it's 2 players I've spoken about quite a lot in the past few days, and it's Almiron and Longstaff, Sean Longstaff at Newcastle United. Almiron's fell 18p, Longstaff's fell 28p. They now sit at £3.29 and £2.79 respectively. It's exactly as I predicted pretty much, and it's just a price correction. Nothing unusual going on. The price is now just reflecting their natural worth on the platform. On to today's questions now then. Today's first question comes from Index Trader 92 on the forum, and he says, how do you know when to cut your losses on a player? I've heard people buying in more shares when it drops. Is it a good idea to buy more? In short, if the price is dropping and dropping, no, I wouldn't usually load up and buy more shares in that player. But it very much depends on the player in question and the reason as to why the player has dropped, whether it's a continuous slow drip drop or whether it's a sudden drop due to a particular reason. The example I'm going to use for this particular question is Manuel Akanji. Now, Dortmund started the season very, very well. They were clear at the Bundesliga by some distance. By October-November time, Akanji's price had rocketed up to £3.15. At the time, one of the most expensive defenders on the platform. A couple of months later, and at the start of the new year, Bild, the German newspaper, the tabloid newspaper, reported that Akanji had sustained a serious hip issue that would cause him to miss the remainder of the season. This caused an instant drop and panic among the market, and he dropped down to a low point of £2.21 from his £3.15 price. Just a few weeks later, Dortmund released a statement saying the injury wasn't as bad as first feared and there was positive hopes that he'd return by the springtime. Now, a few days before this announcement, a few savvy traders bought back into Akanji at that $2.21 price, knowing full well that he's a quality player, and even if he was out for the season, it would only be a case of 5-6 months before his price goes up again. Those traders are now looking at a current price of £2.85. So if you're holding a quality player and the only reason he's dropped because of an injury, then long-term wise, you know you're going to be fine. Just stick through it, you'll be fine. However, if he's dropping off for a different reason, it wasn't due to injury, then you have to apply a little bit more metrics to the situation and assess it. Let's have a look at Coutinho, for example. October-November time, he was £5.21, Barcelona's huge £141 million signing, built for PB. He seemed like a no-brainer. Again, fast forward a few months, all of a sudden Dembele's taken his place, he can't get in the side, even when he does start, he's not performing brilliantly, something's not right there, and he now sits at £4.21. Now, I personally have a 5%, what I call a stop checker, where if the player falls below or 5% below the price that I bought the player at, it just acts as an alert for myself to look at the player, look at the reason why he's gone down 5%, and then assess. Now, I might not necessarily sell at that price, it just gives me a trigger just to see, okay, why is this player dropped? Do I still want to hold on to him? In the case of Coutinho, I probably wouldn't. However, now at his current price, £4.21, if he gets a move in the summer, which is not out of the realms of possibility, then he looks very good value. So it all depends on how long you're willing to hold that player. But in the short term, any drop over 5-10%, use it as a trigger point, look at the reasons for the drop, and if you don't think it's going to change anytime soon, just cut your losses. If you don't have your own buy and sell trigger points, remember you can head over to the website, tradingbearpodcast.com, click on the My Portfolio section, scroll to the bottom, and there you'll find a free to download spreadsheet containing the buy and sell trigger points. On to today's second question now, and it comes from email via Bev. Bev, thanks for contacting the show. And she says, "Hi there, loving the podcast. I'm trying to convince more of my female friends to get trading. Hopefully they will soon. I had a question regarding players retiring. What happens to their shares and profits, etc. when they retire? Thanks, Bev." Firstly, great to hear female traders on the show, Bev, and you actually encouraged me to research a little bit about the reasons why there's less females than males traditionally when looking at the markets, and this is what I found out. A recent study conducted early in 2018 found that 1 out of 7 online traders are female. This is up from last year where it found 1 in 10 were female. So the gap is definitely narrowing there. And another piece of research by Time Magazine, carried out by the behavioural economists Terence Odine and Brad Barber, showed that men tend to trade more on average in comparison with female traders. They also discovered that men on average traded 45% more frequently than women. And that because of this, and that hyperactive trading actually reduced their net returns by 2.65 percentage points a year compared to 1.72 percentage points for women. So there you have it, Bev, and hopefully something to share with your female friends to try and get them involved. Anyway, back to your original question then, Bev. Now for this, I'm going to read exactly from the Football Index website and their own game rules. And it says at the bottom of the game rules under retirement, when a footballer retires or has not played football in any of the legible competitions during the preceding calendar year, we reserve the right to remove that footballer the day after the footballer retires or the day after the preceding calendar year expires from the top 200 or the squad, and you will not be able to place any further bets on that footballer. So in essence, Bev, what happens if you hold a share in that player? A, I hope you got out as soon as possible, and B, your bet will just be removed from the platform. At the end of the day, remember it is a betting platform and you are essentially making a bet. So any player, any money you did have in that player, you would just lose. That's it for this episode. You can download and subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify and Podbean. Head over to the website to send in a question to tradingbearpodcast.com. Alternatively, you can find me on Index Gain under the name Trading Bear. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for the mystery player.
Mystery player. Position.
Forward.
Start price.
£6.58.
Current price.
£13.46.
PB.
30p.
MB.
£1.24.
Dividend yield.
11.4%.
Trading Bear. Today's mystery player was Eden Hazard.